The auction hall stank of ozone and burned circuitry. Hollow banners flickered overhead, casting fractured light across the faces of merchants, bounty hunters, and thrill-seekers. Jace Thorne moved through the crowd with the practiced calm of someone who had seen worse, and survived. His boots clanged against the metal grating as he navigated past augmented arms and cybernetic eyes scanning for profit. He wasn't here for the spectacle, just parts for the iron wave. That and information. Then he saw her. A containment pod, small and reinforced, sat at the center of the hall, isolated from the bidders. Within, a girl crouched on herself, luminous markings streaking her pale skin. Her eyes glowed molten gold, like twin dying suns, and they fixed on him with an intensity that froze the movement around him. The auctioneer's voice boomed over the crowd, but the words didn't reach Jace. All he heard was the quiet, trembling plea in those eyes. Dangerous, the auctioneer said. Defective. Unstable. Sold as is. Handle with extreme caution. Everyone else kept their distance. No one wanted her. Not the mercenaries, not the traders, not even the slavers. Jace stepped closer. Something twisted inside him, a gnawing pull he didn't recognize. He wasn't sentimental. He had no illusions about his life. But this girl, whatever she was, she had nobody. And the Dominion, he knew, wouldn't hesitate. The first bid was 30 credits. Then 50. Then the murmurs stopped. When the screen blinked. 1,000 credits. The hall went silent. Jace's voice had been calm, but firm. I'll pay it. A dozen heads turned. The auctioneer blinked, momentarily stunned. 1,000 credits! Confirmed? Jace tapped his wrist pad. Confirmed. The pod unlocked with a hiss. The girl recoiled, pressing herself into the far corner, shaking. Please! She whispered in a language he didn't understand, voice soft and urgent. Don't let them take me back. Jace crouched slightly, hands empty and visible. I'm not here to hurt you. Name's Jace. I'm getting you out of this hellhole. Her eyes narrowed, mistrust radiating from every line of her body. Then the alarms went off. Red lights streaked across the walls. Dominion enforcers had arrived, black-armored, faceless, moving with deadly precision. They'll kill you, she said, more firmly this time, panic edging her tone. Not today, Jace replied. He grabbed the pod and began pushing through the stunned crowd. Around him, chaos erupted. Holodisplays sparked. Merchants shouted. The enforcers moved as a unit, cutting a path toward him. Kaya, still crouched inside the pod, hissed as a low hum emanated from her body. Small arcs of energy danced across the container's walls. Her biosignals spiked, disrupting nearby electronics. Jace felt a faint shock against his forearm. He didn't flinch. Hang on, he muttered. The crowd parted as they barreled toward docking bay 7. Blaster fire illuminated the hall, cutting through the darkness. Sparks rained from damaged conduits, but Jace's focus never wavered. The pod, surprisingly heavy, was still manageable. At the hangar, the Ironwave waited, engines idling. Jace ducked inside with Kaya. The enforcers were only meters behind when he slammed the boarding ramp shut. The ship shuddered violently as he punched the thrusters. The pod rattled, but she was safe, for now. Once clear of the station, Jace finally opened the pod. Kaya collapsed against him, trembling. Her golden eyes flickered, scanning the interior, every surface, every corner, as if expecting an ambush. Why did you pay for me? She asked, voice hoarse, barely above a whisper. Jace didn't hesitate. Because no one else did. She studied him for a long moment. Suspicion and fear warred with something unspoken. Then she spoke her first words in Terran, broken and uncertain. Jace? He nodded. Yes. You can call me that. Silence fell between them. Outside, the stars stretched as the iron wave jumped into faster-than-light speed. Jace glanced at her again. Despite everything, her fear, her unknown origin, her dangerous energy, he felt a strange pull to protect her. Not because he had to, not because of any duty, but because she had nobody else. Kaya's gaze shifted around the cabin, wary, hands clenched into fists. Then, almost imperceptibly, her body vibrated, and a faint blue glow traced the veins along her arms. Jace noticed but didn't react. He had seen enough anomalies in his life to recognize fear and survival instincts. "You're not like anyone I've ever seen," he said lightly, trying to bridge the tension. I am theirs," she whispered, almost to herself, voice trembling. "Not anymore," Jace replied. The glow dimmed slightly. She slumped back against the pod's inner frame. Her chest heaved. Where are we going?" she asked. Jace's eyes never left the view screen, stars blurring into streaks of light. "Anywhere except back." For the first time, she allowed herself a small breath, a pause from constant vigilance. The corner of her mouth twitched, almost a smile, almost relief. The calm didn't last long. A faint signal pinged from his wrist pad. Dominion ships had picked up the missing asset. The chase wasn't over, it had just begun. Kaya's head lifted, eyes narrowing, instinctively scanning. "They will come," she said softly, almost in awe of the certainty. "They always come. I am theirs." Jace's jaw tightened. "Not anymore." And with that, the iron wave dove deeper into hyperspace, carrying a dangerous alien girl no one wanted, and a human who wouldn't let the galaxy define her fate. The chase was inevitable. The partnership untested. But something had started, something neither of them fully understood yet. The iron wave drifted through the outer fringe of the shattered belt, a loose swarm of asteroids and derelict stations floating in the void. Jace sat in the pilot's chair, hands resting lightly on the console, eyes scanning for Dominion patrols. Every sensor blip could mean pursuit. Every shadow could mean an ambush. He had seen enough death to recognize the pulse of fear in the cold vacuum. Kaya sat cross-legged on a reinforced crate, her luminous markings dimmed to soft streaks along her arms. She had stayed silent since the escape, except for the occasional whispered calculation or low hum that made the ship's conduits tremble slightly. Jace watched her, curious, careful not to intrude. The girl was a weapon, yes, but she was also fragile. Her mind was raw, her experiences brutal. And yet there was a glimmer of something human, a spark the Dominion had tried to erase. "You're staring," she said, her voice hesitant but firm. Golden eyes flicked toward him. "I'm studying my cargo," Jace replied lightly, leaning back. "It's not every day I pick up a rare package that fights back." Kaya's lips twitched, almost a smirk. "I don't fight back. I survive. That's different." Jace chuckled, tapping the console. "Same difference, kid." For a moment, silence fell over the cabin. Stars streaked past the viewport in long, white lines as hyperspace carried them away from the bazaar, and toward uncertainty. Kaya's gaze lingered on the controls, then flicked to Jace. She hesitated, words caught between fear and trust. "What am I?" she asked quietly. Jace shifted in his seat, studying her without judgment. "You're alive," he said simply. "You're free. That's more than most get." Her hands tightened around her knees. I was made for them. Trained. Controlled. Destroyed if defective. And now you're not," Jace replied. "Now you get to choose. Whatever that means." Her head tilted, uncertain, and the faint hum around her hands flared. Sparks of blue energy drifted along the floor panels. Jace noticed but didn't flinch. He had lived long enough to respect danger without letting it intimidate him. "I didn't mean to do that," she whispered. "It happens when I'm scared." "That's okay," Jace said. "I've got a theory. You're not a weapon until you decide to be. Right now you're just you." She looked at him, eyes searching for deceit or a trap, finding none. She nodded slowly. Their quiet was interrupted by a soft ping from the ship's NAV console. A message flashed, encrypted transmission detected. Origin, Outer Verge System. Priority high. Jace frowned. "No one sends me friendly invites." He tapped a few keys, decrypting the file. Images flickered across the screen. Dominion enforcers, a list of bounties, their faces marked with lethal intent. The girl's codename, Asset V13. The bounty on Jace's head had tripled since leaving the bazaar. Kaya stiffened beside him. They want me back, she said, voice barely audible. Alive or destroyed. Then we make sure they don't get you, Jace said, his jaw tightening. And we make sure they don't get me, either. Deal? Kaya looked away, unsure, the faint glow of her markings reflecting off the metal walls. I don't know how, she whispered. I was never meant to survive. That's why you're perfect for this, Jace said with a grin. They expect obedience. They don't expect someone who refuses to be owned. Hours passed in tense quiet. Kaya remained mostly withdrawn, testing her powers in subtle ways, fluctuating her energy to interface with the ship's conduits, nudging minor systems offline or online. Jace noticed every small action, offering guidance when necessary, never scolding. She was learning, but more importantly, she was choosing. By the time the iron wave exited hyperspace near a dense asteroid cluster, Kaya had begun to relax slightly. They were close to the Shattered Belt, a sanctuary for fugitives, escaped hybrids, and outcasts. Rumors said it was a place where no Dominion law could reach. The docking approach was cautious. Jace maneuvered the freighter between tumbling rocks, eyes flicking between sensor feeds and the viewport. Kaya's hands hovered near a panel, her energy responding to his calm, precise movements. You're good, she said quietly, almost amazed. Better than anyone they taught me to trust. Jace didn't smile. I've had practice surviving impossible odds. You survive, she said softly. I was taught to obey. Survive was optional. The words hung between them like a fragile thread, delicate and impossible to ignore. The ship touched down on a hidden landing pad nestled inside a hollowed asteroid. Shadows moved along the rock walls, figures emerging from the darkness. Dre, the ex-Dominion scientist with guilt etched in every line of his face. Ruckshaw, a towering reptilian fighter with eyes like molten copper. And the Veil, an enigmatic presence, observing with silent precision. Welcome to the Belt, Dre said, voice tinged with caution. Not many survive long enough to find this place, and even fewer with company. Kaya instinctively flinched at the sight of Dre. I am not dangerous, she stammered, though her energy still hummed faintly. You're more dangerous than you think, Dre said softly. And that's why you're here. Jace stepped forward, placing a steady hand on Kaya's shoulder. She's not a weapon, he said firmly. Not unless she chooses to be. And right now she's just her. Dre studied them both, then nodded, apparently satisfied. You'll need answers, he said. But first, understand this, the Dominion is not forgiving. They've already started tracking her. If they find her, they won't stop until she's under their control, or destroyed. Kaya's shoulders stiffened, golden eyes narrowing. Then I will fight, she whispered. I have to. Jace didn't reply immediately. He let her words settle. Then he said quietly but firmly, You're not alone in this. We fight together. For the first time since the auction, Kaya allowed herself a faint exhale. Trust, tentative and fragile, began to grow. Her hands dimmed their glow. Tomorrow, Dre said, glancing at Jace, we find out what she really is, and what she can do. Kaya's gaze met Jace's. And you'll still be here? Every step, he said without hesitation. Stars glittered faintly through the fractured asteroid walls outside, a reminder that beyond their sanctuary, the Dominion waited. But inside the iron wave, a fragile bond had begun to form. Human courage, alien fear, and the first spark of trust that might just survive the coming storm. And somewhere deep in her, Kaya realized that survival was no longer optional. With Jace, it might even be possible. The Shattered Belt was ablaze. Dominion cruisers raked the asteroid cluster with energy beams, turning tunnels and hollowed-out stations into molten slag. Jace's hands clenched the controls of the iron wave, every muscle taut. The freighter shuddered as it dodged debris, thrusters screaming. He could hear Kaya's soft hum from behind him, a low, resonant vibration that made the ship's panels ripple with light. "Jace," she said, voice trembling. "They're everywhere, too many." "We've survived worse," he replied without looking back, jaw tight. "Focus on the ship. I've got your back." Her hands glowed faintly as she traced her fingers over the conduits, energy pulses syncing with the thrusters. Sparks danced along the metal walls. The freighter jerked violently as a Dominion missile streaked past, exploding against a nearby asteroid. Kaya's eyes widened, then narrowed. Without a word, she let her energy flow, bending the blast midair and redirecting it into empty space. "Holy hell!" Jace muttered, gripping the controls. "You just saved us!" She didn't answer, focused entirely on the stream of incoming fire. Every time she faltered, he reminded her gently. "Trust yourself. I trust you." Minutes later, the iron wave found a hollow behind a massive asteroid, a temporary refuge. Jace powered down the engines, the silence a stark contrast to the chaos outside. Kaya slumped against the wall, glowing streaks fading. She began, voice unsteady. "I killed." "You didn't," Jace said firmly. "They came for us. You defended yourself like anyone would. You saved lives, Kaya. Don't twist it." She pressed her hands to her face, trembling. "I am a weapon. I destroy. I cannot control it." "You control you," he said, kneeling in front of her. "Not them. Not what they made you for. You decide. That's what makes you human. That's what they can't understand." Kaya's golden eyes glimmered, brimming with tears she hadn't yet cried. For the first time, she felt something beyond fear, choice. The next day, Jace decrypted Dominion transmissions. His stomach sank. Omega Purity Protocol, an interstellar sterilization sweep, was imminent. Millions of hybrid species would die if Kaya remained in the wrong hands. The girl's shoulders stiffened. "They'll kill everyone," she whispered, voice fragile. "Because of me. Because of them," Jace corrected. "They've always wanted control. This isn't your fault." Kaya's hands glowed briefly, the aura around her body pulsing like a heartbeat. "Then, we stop them. We fight." Jace nodded, mapping a bold course. The iron wave would jump straight into Dominion space, past patrols, toward the flagship coordinating the protocol. The odds were astronomical, the risks nearly certain. Yet neither hesitated. They had no choice. Survival alone was no longer enough. The iron wave streaked into Dominion-controlled space, its silhouette small against the vast warships orbiting a crimson star. Kaya's energy interfaced with their systems, hacking drones and turning automated turrets against the cruisers. Jace piloted with precision, weaving between laser grids, narrowly avoiding collisions. Every movement was a dance between trust and instinct, the human and the hybrid synchronizing in unspoken harmony. "Almost there," Jace said. "Hold it together. We make this count. Hold me together," Kaya whispered, the faint glow along her veins intensifying. The flagship loomed ahead, a cathedral of cold metal and oppressive power. Jace docked the iron wave inside a service port, shields barely holding against detection pulses. They disembarked quickly, corridors dark and humming with Dominion energy. Cyrix Velcor awaited them, enhanced implants glinting, a predator in the shadowed metal. His eyes pierced Kaya, venom in every calculated movement. "You are defective," he said. "Yet they protect you. Tell me, girl, do you understand what you are?" Kaya's hands flared with restrained power. "I am me," she said, voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. "Not yours. Not anyone's." Jace stepped beside her. "And I'm with her. Always." Cyrix's mechanical limbs whirred as he advanced. Energy crackled, the air thick with static and tension. Jace dodged a strike, returning a counter with precise human reflexes, quick, unpredictable, impossible to program. Kaya's energy flowed like a tide, bending gravity, redirecting beams, and overloading Dominion implants. Syrinx faltered, unprepared for her unpredictability. "You are more than I anticipated," he hissed. "Exactly," Jace said. "Humans, and the choices we make, cannot be controlled." "You never understood that." Kaya surged forward, the aura around her reaching full intensity. With a coordinated strike, she disabled Syrinx's core enhancements, leaving him vulnerable. Jace followed through, ending the confrontation with precision. Silence replaced the roar of energy weapons. Kaya turned to the mainframe, glowing veins illuminating the dark chamber. Systems beeped and whirred under her control. Omega Purity Protocol streamed across the network, a countdown, ready to sterilize entire sectors. She hesitated. Jace's hand rested on hers, steadying. "You decide," he said softly. "Not them. You." With a deep breath, Kaya channeled her power into the mainframe. The system blinked, buzzed, then shut down. The protocol halted. Across the Dominion sectors, silence replaced the impending doom. Exhausted, she collapsed into Jace's arms. He held her firmly, letting her rest. "See?" he said. "You saved lives today. Not because they told you to, because you chose to." Kaya's lips trembled. I didn't know I could." "You're learning," he replied. "And this is just the beginning." Days later, the iron wave drifted through the calm void. Kaya sat at the navigation panel, fingers brushing lightly over the controls. The glow along her veins had softened, steady, calm. For the first time, she looked relaxed, almost human. "Jace," she said quietly, "what am I now?" "Free," he said simply. "Free to be yourself. To choose. And if you want, free to be my partner." Her golden eyes flickered, a faint smile touching her lips. "Then, where do we go?" "Anywhere," Jace replied, hands steady on the controls. "Except back." For the first time, they were not hunter and hunted. Not weapon and handler. They were a team. The galaxy still teemed with danger, but together, they were unpredictable, unstoppable, and undeniably human. Kaya leaned against him, soft hums emanating from her energy veins, a rhythm of trust, hope, and survival. The iron wave jumped into hyperspace, stars streaking past, leaving Dominion space and the shadow of oppression behind. For the first time in her life, Kaya realized, surviving wasn't enough. She could live. She could choose. And in the company of a human who saw her as more than a weapon, she could even hope. The galaxy would soon learn that humans did not follow the rules. They defied them, protected the helpless, and rose from the impossible. And somewhere in that vast, indifferent void, a girl who wasn't meant to live had chosen humanity, and found herself at last.